There we are. All right. Welcome to our fifth supplement course in our series of six. We're going to be diving in and talking about brain fog, which I think we all feel right now. A lot of that is because we are zoomed out and electromagnetic radiation is legit. It is a very real thing. So I think more of us, especially with classes and with, kids schooling and things, it is definitely
You're on mute, Penny.
Thank you. I muted myself when I muted all. That's a new one. Don't know how that happened. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do full screen here. Here we go. There we go. All right. Very good. So we'll jump right in. So one of the things with brain fog, how it's defined a lot of times is that inability to focus, memory problems, lack of mental clarity, poor concentration. Many define it as something that is just absolutely, it just destroys your daily life, right? Because, and a lot of that's because if we can't think through things, then we can't put one foot in front of the other, and we can't accomplish all the things we want to accomplish. So why do we have brain fog? Well, brain fog has six main causes. Number one main cause is going to be stress. We all know that when we're stressed, we have this thing called the hypothalamus that kind of kicks in, sends out all those stress hormones through the body. Those stress hormones then go to the adrenal glands and say, we've got a situation. So mount up, right? That my country's showing, sorry about that, but mount up. Let's get going. Let's attack what we have to. Well, that's okay because it was intended for that purpose. But when we have stress that is reoccurring and consistent, it ends up damaging our body a lot more than we think. And stress is one of the main causes of diseases. So for all of you who have been on your health and wellness journey for a while, you have definitely known that stress, when we take care of stress, then we're able to control some of those triggered hormones that cause a lot of damage to our body. But one of the things that stress causes the most is going to be our second issue, which is sleep. With sleep, though, it can be a little bit tricky because we have some underlying conditions, maybe medical conditions that cause lack of sleep. So the key to this is going to be identifying what is the issue. So 8 to 9 hours, you guys, that's prime for sleep. The younger you are, the older you are. That's something that is most important. So some of us in our 20s, those maybe in early 30s, we know that we can hang out a little longer. We don't need as much sleep, maybe 4 to 5 hours, etc. But that will catch up with you a little bit. When you're younger, I almost feel like because of the way our body is and our hormones, which actually tie into this a little bit more, too, which we'll talk about, you have the hormones that are regulated enough that your body can reset a little faster with that 4 to 5 hours of sleep. But when you're young and growing, children, teenagers, even late teens and early 20s, right? Your brain is still developing until you're about 23, 24 years old. And your hormones are definitely finding their balance at that point, setting up to be able to procreate life at that point. So all of those things happening there. And then when you start to decline in estrogen, when your body starts to decline there, your DHEA is not enough, your hormones come into play a little bit as the older that you get. So now we're talking about late stages of life where you actually need more time to recuperate. And then that means you're going to need even more sleep. But what do we tend to do at that stage of our life? We overwork, we overwhelm ourselves, and it's very difficult to find the time to buy out for that, right? But it is key importance in sleep. So there's a lot of information in sleep. So bear with me. If you're taking notes, this is going to be a really good time for that. And please, if you guys can mute yourselves when you're coming in, that would be awesome. Let's see. So important to know that there's different kinds of insomnia. Do not self-diagnose. You have acute insomnia, which is caused by maybe situational things, right? So it can be situational stress. And then you have chronic insomnia, which is something, it's considered chronic. Any illness is considered chronic when you're looking at 6 months of consistent symptoms plus. That's from inflammation to insomnia. It works with everything from your glucose levels to hormone levels. Anytime you do a test, your doctors are going to want to look at that like 6 months out to then further diagnose what's going on with you there. So always want to talk with your doctor about that. Some of the things that cause the secondary lack of sleep or insomnia, which can be things like our stress, anxiety, depression, even your sex. Females are more prone to insomnia than males. A lot of that has to do with hormones also. Age, medications, stimulants like coffee, tea, energy drinks, even some herbal remedies. We always go to like maybe ginseng, we think of when we're looking at herbal remedies for energy, maybe poor concentration. That's the big one that I see overused a lot. And then there's a major talk about whether it's Asian or Korean or American and what's the difference, right? People overdo those types of stimulants. You can also buy caffeine over the counter now in high doses of like 100, 150 milligrams. So we're not talking about a cup of coffee every day. We're not talking about a couple cups of tea. We're talking about an over abuse of caffeine. So don't worry, I'm not trying to take away your cup of coffee. I would never do that because I cannot function without my cup of coffee. So, and then tea lately has been my go-to in the evening. So, but we're talking about that upper 100 milligrams at a time. So to give you a little bit of an idea, 1 cup of coffee typically is about 60 to 80 milligrams of caffeine. It gets absorbed into your body pretty quickly and moved around, cycled around pretty quickly. 1 cup of tea, you're looking at about 30 to 40. The difference is that coffee is a physiological caffeine, tea's a neurological caffeine. So they hit the system quite differently. That's why you could feel jitters, physical jitters a lot from coffee, where with tea, you might have a little bit more of like that mental focus. You can still feel a little bit laid back with that, right? But that's because it's more neurological. They're just a little bit different. Now, energy drinks, typically your energy drinks are going to be around 150 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. I survived on those for years, and I 100% attribute my adrenal fatigue to that. And there's one thing I can say probably wrecked my adrenal fatigue at times in my life. It's probably all of the stimulants in those drinks, because you also have guarana, taurine, etc. Again, I'm not trying to take away your pre-workout drink either, if that's your jam. I would just say if you're suffering from brain fog, you might want to consider not doing that, because those things get cycled through your body and they last for quite a while. Matter of fact, if you're looking at things like additives like taurine, guarana, those things take about 2 days before they're expelled from the body. So it leaves an imprint on your nervous system. And that can contribute to a grave lack of sleep, insomnia, and of course, it brings us back to that brain fog situation, which we don't want. And now we can kind of see the cycle, right? I have brain fog, so I'm going to take this highly caffeinated drink, and then I'm going to expect this highly caffeinated drink to cure my brain fog. But that highly caffeinated drink is causing my brain fog now. So we keep going run around. Now, people who make the drinks, they love that, because then we become consumers that consume forever. And those are on our subscribe to save lists. And we've got cases of those built up in our pantries, right? So they count on the fact that we have not identified and figured that out yet. So we're here to say, those of us looking for a better way, health and wellness, guess what? We are going to have to definitely think about how much we drink those kind of drinks. We do have supplements like AminoWise that is a pre-workout or post-workout that does a lot of what the pre-workout drinks are designed to do as far as your muscles, ligaments, tendons, and your recovery goes. For caffeine, if you need that big increase in caffeine, maybe by the end of this class, you'll identify some symptoms and some supplements that might help you balance so you won't need that caffeine before you do that. Okay, cool. Yeah, Rachel, I know, Rachel, you're a workout queen. I watch you, so I know she needs her pre-workout. She's a good power lifter, I know. All right, so some of the medical conditions, rather, that we want to notice as insomnia, sleep issues being a secondary part of, right? Because when we're talking about brain fog, we want to get to the cause so that we can begin to fix it. If the insomnia is a secondary cause of a medical condition, and you want to treat the brain fog and the insomnia, most likely we can't get to that until we identify the cause of it and see if the insomnia is a secondary part. If the insomnia is a secondary part, then we want to actually look at what condition you're going through, right? And then start to treat the cause of that condition rather than treat the symptom, which would be insomnia. So some of those conditions we know are going to be any type of inflammatory condition, sleep disorders, environmental changes, long distance traveling, for example, or even jumping time zones. And long distance as well, it can be different based on your body and what you can handle also. But that definitely affects the circadian rhythm in your body. And when that's affected, can cause insomnia. And unfortunately, that can be affected for like months at a time. It's kind of crazy. And please, guys, if you can mute yourselves, that would be fabulous. Thank you so much. Although whoever was just singing, I love it. It was awesome. Okay. So I just get really, it's brain fog. See, because I don't have my vitamin B's lately and some other things that were out of stock for me. But anyway, now we want to talk a little bit about hormone changes since we talked about that. Hormone changes is the third reason. So progesterone and estrogen, and I don't think Sam's on with us tonight, but I know if she was, she could talk a little bit about it. But progesterone and estrogen, when they are increased, which is typically when you're pregnant, that causes an imbalance in your body that can cause insomnia and that can cause sleep issues. And that can also cause brain fog. Then as your estrogen starts to decline, like we mentioned earlier, that can cause brain fog. So perimenopausal, which can be anywhere from 7 to 10 years before you actually go into menopause. Fun fact. And then menopausal women, your declining estrogen can cause that brain fog for sure. Okay. Something to keep in mind with this, that forgetfulness, the poor concentration, or what they call like the cloudy brain, right? When it's a hormone issue, a lot of times what you have to do is rest. So now we're circling back to sleep when it's that hormone issue. So they're kind of all running into each other. So we're halfway through the list, and we've been able to identify stress causes a lack of sleep. And then we have hormone issues, which if we don't have enough sleep can contribute to stress, which can contribute to brain fog. So all of these things are kind of tied in. And bear with me because we're going to get to the end and we'll talk supplements that can help. Diet is our number 4. I know you guys were going to know we had to talk about diet, right? Food and nutrition. There is nothing, no supplement that can ever change how important diet and nutrition is for us. But I want to talk about one point for this. Vitamin B12 deficiency is one of the main causes for your natural cause of brain fog. Why does that happen? Well, your Bs are depleted because of stress a lot of times. Also because of diet. So vegans, vegetarians, you tend to not have as much protein or B12 in your diet. Those things come from meat, iron enriched foods, which you do get through spinach and greens and other things, but it's easy to have your B12 depleted when it comes to that. And then also MSG, aspartame, which would be found in like diet sodas, things like that. MSG is a really big one. Dairy's huge. It is like these things eat up B12. So even though you're putting it in, if these things are prevalent in your diet, it's just eating up the B12, especially dairy. Peanuts too. There's a reason why a lot of people have that peanut allergy. The peanuts are wonderful because we need protein from them, especially if we follow a vegan diet, if we have a vegetarian diet, etc. But the peanuts in general have a chemical in them that eats up the Bs and the B12 primarily. So why not take a B complex? Well, all the different Bs have different symptoms if you're deficient. So it's going to be really important that you see if you're actually B12 deficient versus B5, B6, etc. And there are many Bs, but in this country, we only have 9 of them. And B12, by the way, fun fact, the natural form of that is the cobalamin. It's the cobalamin form. A lot of people ask me that, so I just want to throw that out there, especially if you're taking notes. The cobalamin is the natural form of vitamin B12. Bs, what it does is it regulates our nervous system, and it also has a major role in our cardiovascular system because it's growth and red blood cell formation. That's why you need B12s. And the cardiovascular system is important because if you don't have what you need there, then you're going to be short of breath. You're going to be stressed. There's other things that can happen, right, with our heart, with our digestion, etc. And those things cause a major brain fog when you don't have the right, circulation going on in your body that provides the oxygen needed as well. So B12 is going to be very, very important. Medications is going to be our 5th major thing that we talk about. Medications definitely cause brain fog. So some things that you can do with medication, and I just want to say, talking to your doctor about everything that you're going through is going to be important. Do not lower your medication. Do not switch to something without talking to them. It's very important that you work with your doctor to find out if your medications are causing this kind of symptom for you. This is what they do. They do have their place. The doctors do. This is what they do. And so you want to trust them with that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about some of the tests that you guys can get run a little bit later. So now let's get into medical conditions. This is going to be our 6th most important thing to talk about. Conditions associated with inflammation and fatigue, changes in blood glucose levels. These are main contributors to brain fog. We know how bad inflammation is, right? Brain fog is a symptom of anemia, chronic fatigue syndrome. It involves fatigue, we're looking at 6 months later. So don't self-diagnose. Make sure you work with your doctor to find out if this is a diagnosis for you. When you're looking at this, fibromyalgia patients, they experience something similar, and this is a daily battle for those who have that diagnosis. In this case, we want to identify what's causing the inflammation and work from there. So we don't want to treat the brain fog, right? So don't run out and get B complex and vitamin B12 because you have fibromyalgia or you've been diagnosed with an inflammation disorder. We actually want to look at the inflammation, what's causing that, and work from there. Treat the cause, not the symptom. The medical system is designed to treat the symptom, but that's because the medical, doctors and medicine, they're there when things get to a point where you can't treat it in time naturally. So it's very important for you guys to know, okay? We do need to make sure that we work with our doctors on all of these things. And you'll hear this from everyone in our Oak Tribe and also everyone in Young Living, that you want to work hand in hand with your medical professionals. Now, what can we do? What can we do to get tested to see what are some of the causes for us of why we have brain fog? Well, here's some tests that we can use. Glucose levels, liver, kidney, thyroid functions. Very, very important. If you have taken the liver class, then you know how important the liver is to not only disposing of toxins, but also making sure that our body can absorb the nutrients that we need in order to fix any of the conditions that we're struggling with, right? Then we want to look at nutritional deficiencies, which we talked about. So you want your doctor to check for that. Make sure your minerals are intact. Minerals, every single disorder and disease can be linked to a lack of one mineral. They're just now figuring out that copper, for example, is linked to things like Parkinson's disease, things like that. So there's a lot of research and a lot of information, but every disease can be a deficiency of a mineral in our bodies. It's so hard to get the right minerals in our food nowadays. You also want to make sure that you don't have any infections causing brain fog, and what kind of inflammatory disease, if there is an inflammatory disease. So these are things you can talk to your doctor about, and I'll repeat them really quickly. So we want to look at our glucose levels, our liver, our kidney, and our thyroid function. Any nutritional deficiencies in our body, mineral deficiencies or nutritional deficiencies. Lack of protein is huge for brain fog. Lack of protein. An average woman to survive needs about 80 grams of protein per day. A piece of chicken or steak that's about the size of your hand is only about 3 grams. Okay, 3 to 4 grams of chicken. We don't get enough protein. The brain uses protein to survive. So that is something that we want to look at in our diet overall. And there's lots of things you can do to supplement protein. Young Living has complete proteins. We have sleek proteins. We have tons of stuff. Balance Complete is one of my favorite things. I also have sleek. I always have the sleek proteins, which is like the low calorie one for those of us that have struggled with our weight through this lovely pandemic that we have. There's a little support there for you. So you want to look at your protein, of course, and then we're looking at infections. If you have any current infections in your body, that is definitely going to add to your brain fog and any inflammatory issues or disorders. Sleek is your fave too? Yeah, I love it. And pure protein. Pure protein is awesome. So now that we talked about that a little bit, let's talk a little bit about the supplements and stuff that we can do. So since someone mentioned Pure Protein by Young Living, we have it in 2 flavors. It's chocolate and vanilla. Pure Protein is an awesome high protein drink with vitamins and minerals and supplements that get absorbed quickly into your body, especially with the aid of our wonderful essential oils that we have. So it will help get involved or get absorbed into your body and go through your bloodstream. And man, just, I don't even know what I did before that. So you want to get past that 80 grams, especially if you're looking at being deficient in protein. You want to get past that 80 grams. I believe the Pure Protein has, if somebody can look it up really quickly for me, but I want to say that it's about 20 grams of protein. When we're talking about protein, something people don't really recognize is that your body should never have more than 40 grams at a time. Your kidneys cannot handle that. You can't break it down very well. And you end up putting undue stress on your kidneys when you do that. So 40 grams at a time, which typically is something for men, that wouldn't even be for females. You really want to stay at 20, 25 grams of protein at a time, especially if you are female. I recommend that. Should be in everybody's cart all the time. And then with the protein, sorry guys, give me 1 second. There we go. And then with the protein, it can be pretty pricey. So a lot of people will tell you, if you go to a vitamin store, you need to take this protein every day, drink this protein every day. Well, it's true. If you do have a deficiency, you need to increase your protein. But as far as supplementing, you should not have 4 or 5 meals of protein every day. So keep that in mind. Not a protein shake. This is a supplement. I can make my Balance Complete or my Pure Protein last. It's 30 days is basically what they give you. It's like a 30-day regimen, right? But I make it last for probably 60 or 70, doing it every other day, just to make sure that I'm getting what I need if I don't eat enough that day or I'm not getting enough protein. So somebody asked how many grams per day, ideally 80 grams or more protein for a woman every day. They actually say there's, well, and because this is a lot of research, so this is not proven, but if you have ever worked with personal trainers, or maybe you are a personal trainer, or perhaps you've had nutrition classes and courses like I have, one of the things that I heard was that blew my mind was that protein, you should have half your body weight in water, half your body weight in protein. I don't necessarily agree with that, because again, we don't want to overdo anything. And I've never seen any proof scientifically with that. I see a lot of talk about that. I've taken nutritional classes where that's been something they've said, but please do your research. You can research that the female body, average woman, needs 80 grams of protein per day, ideally. So that is the answer to that one. 25 grams in pure protein. Thank you, Gina. That's awesome. Yeah, I thought it was 20 or 25 grams. That's typically the amount you want. And then we also have protein bites. I don't know if you guys have had those. They're amazing. They're blueberry and yogurt. Oh, those protein bites are so good. They're like 9 grams in protein. So that's kind of my go-to if I'm running around in the morning and I'm busy. Lots of fun stuff. We have a lot of good food options with Young Living Company. So make sure that you're looking in the food to see the things that we have. Now we want to talk a little bit about omegas, because omegas are the best supplement you can possibly get for brain fog. Why is that? Well, omegas work to jump in your body. It works as a blood thinner a little bit, right? So say you've got a little bit of poor circulation and you've got a little bit of damage to your nervous system. Well, the omegas, because it's a whole food for you, it's able to kind of thin that out a bit and get your circulation back in rhythm. And because it does work with that brain barrier, it can actually help to feed your body. And that makes sense, because the omegas, which are in things like our fish that we eat and other things, well, they actually eat the seaweed and the yummy sea greens and stuff, and then we eat them. So we can actually get omegas from fish, and then we can actually get omegas from non-fish. We have Omega Gies. Has anybody used Omega Gies that wants to talk about it maybe? Omega Gies is a wonderful. I use Omega Gies. I take 2 daily, and it has helped me so very much with a couple things. Brain fog, but also helps with joint support, cardiovascular system. High cholesterol runs in my family. I could be 110 pounds, and high cholesterol is going to run in my family for some reason. It's just the way it goes. But these omega-3 fatty acids, the DHA in them, it improves brain function, motor skills, vision, etc. And if anybody wants to raise their hand or talk about Omega Gies, they're welcome to. Vitamin Bs. We talked a little bit about B12, but it's wise to think about taking a B complex, only because B complex has things like choline and acetyl in it. Those 2 things are in the vitamin B family. Choline it's chemically related to B. It's important for cell membranes and for the production of neurotransmitter. That really has a role in like our muscle control, etc. What can substitute for those allergic to omegas? Yeah, if you're allergic to the fish oils, huh? We do have some options for you. Oh, that's my friend Jean. Hi, Jean. Yeah, I will post some of that in the chat in just a minute about that one. Very good. Sorry, guys. Inositol is also considered a member of B complex. Its role in the nervous system is fat metabolism. One of the main things that can cause insomnia, can cause stress, is being overweight. So inositol, being part of that B family and we're working with fat metabolism, helps in that way. It's also promotes healthy cells in your bone marrow and membrane production, which is important for hair growth, just so you know. Somebody asked me about my hair because it was very short and now it's very long, about 4 months ago. And I told him it's got to be the B vitamins. It just has to be the B vitamins that we have. Our B complex is awesome. It's really, really good stuff. Vitamin C, which we have our Super C and our vitamin C, that is essential for brain fog. It's needed to maintain healthy skin, cartilage, teeth, bone, blood vessels, and it's used to protect the body's cells from damage. So basically, vitamin C's, to sum it up, is important for everything soft tissue related. And that means antioxidant support, except, that helps protect us from free radicals and stuff like that. Vitamin E fights free radicals and prevents diseases. We don't have a vitamin E yet. It is very difficult to get a good vitamin E. Tocopherol is the vitamin E that is natural. So if you are looking into supplement with vitamin E, you're going to want to look at that alpha tocopherol. If it is not the form of alpha tocopherol, it is not its natural form. Why is that important? Because if you're talking about brain fog, you want to get the most natural form so that it's doing exactly what you want, which is helping your cardiovascular system and really working with your body to fight inflammation. Vitamin E is absolutely necessary if you're fighting inflammation. It also helps to slow aging in the cells. So that helps to fight off other health issues and heart diseases, hypertension, aging, etc. Very important for you. And vitamin B complex, we talked a little bit about that, but primarily the vitamin B12, which is your cobalamin, that's going to be your natural vitamin B. And then something to consider, guys, is that every single brain changes with age. Mental function changes with age. Mental decline is common. It's one of the most feared consequences of growing old. And because here we are living on our phones and tablets and computers, we are now susceptible to more radiation than we have ever been before. And, taking essential supplements to help balance that is going to be really important as we go along. But also remember that we aren't going to think like we did before. So sometimes we have to change certain behaviors in our diet, our sleep pattern, make sure that we're working out, we're getting plenty of exercise, those kind of basic functions that we all hear in order to help our bodies maintain that balance. It is more important than supplementation, because if you are exercising and getting enough sleep, then your body's going to be able to boost itself. And then if you need to supplement in because of medical conditions, etc., then of course your body will be able to assimilate those nutrients better, absorb them, and then help you, right? So they do go hand in hand. I need to get back to Miss Jean about what we can substitute for Young Living for those who cannot do fish oil. I promise I will post that in here in this recording for everyone to see, but I need to do a little research on that, so bear with me for that one. If you're looking for good omegas, though, if you're looking for what the omegas bring to you, you want to be looking at what the fish eat. So the number one thing I can say for you is algae. I do know our multigreens is probably, well, that's what I was going to put in here, is probably the multigreens is where I would go. Multigreens have the choline. Multigreens have the algae base, the kelp, etc., those things in there to help you. But I don't know how high in omegas it is. And the other thing is omegas, if you're going to use it for brain fog and brain function, you really do need the DHA and the EPA, which does come from the oil of the fish rather than the algae. Spirulina is a wonderful, wonderful additive for that. Yeah, spirulina is great. Anything that's made from the sun, that's going to be wonderful for you to substitute. And then let me look in here, avocado oil, but you have to think about the fat that comes with that. And then also you're looking for that DHEA. DHEA is primarily what helps with the brain fog and the brain function. It's kind of that food for the brain. So you're looking more of like sea veggies. So algae. I know there's really wonderful algae-based alternatives. There's a brand called WII. It's WII that I recommend. I've used before, and they're very good, very, very good sources. I do trust that brand a lot. Been around for quite a while. So again, that's WII, and it's an algae-based omega. And it does have some DHEA and some EPA. There is one that has that in it, a little pricey, but it's definitely worth it. All right. So now let's do our Q&A section. It's a lot of information. Also, you guys know these are beginner classes. So there's so much I want to say, but I try to keep it very pointed for us. And then also to allow questions that we can answer. And then we want to be able to build on this in other supplement classes. So there might be some things I missed, but I would love to answer any questions that we have. Nordic Naturals carries a vegan omega. Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. Yeah. The only thing with Nordic Naturals, well, Nordic Naturals is probably the longest standing brand, quite honestly, for anything that's omega based or fish oil based. But I do know that they're very new to the vegan omegas. And so I haven't done the research on that brand enough to tell you, but with the WII brand, they primarily function on vegan omegas. So the algae based omegas. What else? And any other questions? And Abby, I know you're on. Is there anything that we missed in here? Tried to keep up as we were going through them here. Let me see, make sure I didn't miss anything.
I wasn't sure if you answered Autumn's question about.
What was the question?
Let me see. How do you work the natural form of B12?
How do I what?
Work the natural form of B12?
Work?
Yeah, Autumn, I'm not quite sure what you were asking.
Hey, Autumn, unmute and come on in, honey. We'll
Actually, I wanted to know how to spell the natural form. Sorry.
Oh. Yes, that's very important. Cobalamin. So that is COBALIMIN. So COBAL.
Mm-hmm.
And then IMIN. Cobalamin.
Thank you.
There's methylated versions too, which help for absorption. But if you go to any kind of store, they're kind of scary. They have a lot of different versions of B12 that can be kind of scary. Whole food bases are always good, which is why I recommend our complex. But if you need a little bit more B12 and you're shopping, you guys, make sure that you're looking for that cobalamin B12. And sublingual is probably going to be your ticket if you're looking for cobalamin. Thank you, Diane. Yeah, so sublingual is going to be anything that you put under your tongue. It gets better absorbed into the body. You want to hold it there for about 30 seconds to better absorb. When is the best time to take omega-3s? You actually want to split it. So you want to take half of your omega-3s in the morning, half in the afternoon. So I take the Omega Gi's. I take one capsule in the morning and then one in the afternoon. And you want to be careful not to take your omega-3s with anything acidic. Although I have taken it with Ningxia before and I love it. I think it's wonderful with Ningxia. Let's see what else we got. Ningxia also will help if you suffer from the glucose situation. So if you're anemic and you're taking Ningxia, that will help you with that. If that's one of the main medical conditions that's keeping you from your brain functioning the way that you want it to, giving you that brain fog. All right. Any other questions, you guys? Should we take supplements if you don't really need it? Because like I look at all the products and it sounds so good, but do I really need it? And what if I take too much? Because I heard that taking too much isn't good either. You are correct. Do not take supplements if you don't really need them. But that's why we talked a lot about working with your doctor to find out what it is you actually need. Typically, if you're suffering, and that's why we also want to talk about why we're suffering from brain fog. If you have a medical condition and insomnia is why you're suffering from brain fog, there might not be anything that you can do about that medical condition at the time, but the insomnia is a secondary reason, right? It's a part of that medical condition. So what is causing that medical condition, if it's inflammation or whatever, if we can work on the cause of it, then the symptoms disappear or the symptoms lighten. So that's kind of how you know if you need something, is trying to get to the cause of it, which is where the education is so important. It is very important that you do not take too many. I always stress this, and you'll want to work with whoever brought you here, guys, if you do have questions like that, because I don't want to say go take everything, because your body can't absorb it all. There's times to take certain things, there's times not to take certain things, and then you want to rotate your supplements as well. So typically these beginner supplement courses are just trying to educate you to maybe find that aha moment or that spark of, okay, here's maybe what I need to look into or research. I do consultations for Oak Tribe. They are free. I am very behind at the moment with some that I still need to work on. So I'm not doing any for the next week or so. But I do free consultations with Oak Tribe. So you can always ask me and we can talk a little bit more in detail about your personal situations. I would love to help you. Absolutely. And that was an awesome question. Very good. Thank you guys so much. You're amazing. We're trying to keep these under an hour too. We totally understand that it is a busy, busy time of day for everyone. And then Yuri, I found where you can get your Omega. Are you talking about the We Omega, Yuri? Okay, let's have it. Yuri, you want to come on screen? Come on in.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hey, hey Yuri.
Long time ago, sorry, I'm in my phone. I was trying to do the vegan diet, and it was
Mhm.
good. It was so good, and I had to leave it for so many reasons. But it's not because it wasn't for me. I mean, it was something I really want to do. But anyway, omegas, you can find it. I just researched something because I really like to do all this research as well as you. So it's in Spanish. So I don't know. It says for
Abby
people
can translate.
vegetarians can have 2.8 grams uh, per day, and it says you can find it in 1 tablespoon of how do you say linaza? I forgot how do you say linaza in English. It's
It's
Flaxseed.
flaxseed.
What?
flax,
Oh,
like the flaxseed, but it says 1 tablespoon of the flaxseed oil or two. I'm sorry, it was 1 teaspoon of that, or
Yeah.
tablespoon
Mhm.
of flaxseed the ground flaxseed, or 30 grams of nuts, or 1 teaspoon of the hemp oil.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. The only issue is that the flaxseed and those type of omegas are more for digestion. We're looking for the DHEA and the EPA that help with the brain fog and help with the circulation, because they work with the blood a little bit differently. So, but yes, I do think you can actually get flaxseed that has DHEA. I'm not sure what's in that though. It's got to be an additive most likely. And so you'd want to do your research on that one. Do you have, does it have a DHEA in it, Yuri?
I didn't check that. Yes, it says, I'm gonna read it in Spanish and you can translate it for me. It says,
You can, or you can just post a picture in the chat if you don't mind. Would you like to post
yeah,
a
let me
picture in
see,
the chat?
let me see, I can put it in. Hold
Awesome. Thank you. I would love that.
on. No problem.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Yuri.
You're very welcome.
Awesome. All right, you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for joining in. This is the 5th of our 6 basic supplement courses. We are moving into our winter launch in October, Black Friday, and all of the things that come with that. So that's what we're going to focus our classes and our resources on coming up for you. Next month is going to be a hormone class. And our hormone class, we're going to have some guests. Not my German Shepherd that's jumping in here right now. But sorry, guys. I don't know how she got in. She can open doors. But our hormones, we're going to talk a lot about. We're going to dig into a little bit deeper with that. We're going to have some guest appearances from some other leaders in Oak Tribe, and I'm so excited. I know Jessica Grosso is coming on, and I'm going to try to recruit Sam. I know she's got a lot on her plate, but I'm going to try to recruit her. So we're going to dig into hormones a lot, and try to keep it within that 30-40 minutes for you guys as well. Hit the basics and give you guys some really good slides and information for that, because the hormones are a hot topic. So instead of just seeing our faces, we're going to try to roll out some slides and things for you guys that you can screenshot and take with you. All right, you guys are awesome. I love you to pieces. Thank you so very much for joining us. This will be recorded. Well, it is recording, but it will be available in our Oak Tribe Facebook group. So that's where you're going to want to go to find our recordings. If you need a special recording, then your leadership group should have those for you as well. For all of you that are joining us because you were invited by someone, I am so happy to meet you, and I would love for you guys to hop on and show your faces and say hello so we can get to meet you a little bit. I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to remove the spotlight so we can do that. Give me 1 second. There we go.